Hello, and welcome to a new wine review here at Wayward Wine. I want to let you in on a secret that's not really a secret. I love Riesling. Why? Because Riesling isn't your grandma's Kool-Aid. Riesling can be anything. It can be crisp, dry, and refreshing and mouth-watering and paired with almost any sort of fish dish or fresh cheese or just as an aperitif, all the way through to concentrated syrupy ice wine that would make the perfect nightcap after a long workday. Riesling can be anything, and it can go with anything, and I think is a grape that's often misunderstood. And today, to help us all just get to know it a bit better, I wanted to feature a very historic winery. This is the winery BISCHO FLICHE, based out in Trier. Trier, a city near Luxembourg and the French border on western Germany, famed for producing fantastic wine ever since the Roman times, when they founded the city of Trier as one of their major capitals. And one of those vineyards that the Romans have been growing grapes on since the 250s AD is SCHARZHOFBERGER. SCHARZHOFBERGER is pretty special. It's a small vineyard on a roughly 30 to 60% grade slope that runs upwards of almost 300 meters above sea level, which is extremely high. And the other thing too is it's one of the coldest and highest vineyards on the Saar River, right along that kind of Luxembourg French border. And what that means is grapes have to hang out there for much longer. They have to wait to reach ripeness. And so harvest usually doesn't happen, even for their simpler styles like this, until November, which in other parts of the world, in the Western Hemisphere for instance, October, September, a lot of whites are being picked then. But the grapes just need that much warmth and time to really reach that point. Some benefit there as well is the slate soil. Lots of slate, a little bit of clay, a little bit of loess, but the slate really helps to soak in that sunshine from the daytime and moderate the massive diurnal shift between day and night temperatures. Because daytime can get pretty warm during the summer, but really, really, really cold during the nighttime. And so you need that stone to retain the heat, bounce it back to the vine, and keep that photosynthesis process going just a little bit longer so the grapes reach their full ripeness. And that is what is particular to SCHARZHOFBERGER vineyard. This is BISCHO FLICHE's Riesling Kabinett, so they're kind of lighter style. It's only 8% alcohol, so there wasn't a lot of sugar here. They didn't leave it as long as they leave the grapes for their other more concentrated styles. So a really nice introduction to what this fantastic ancient vineyard can do. The winery itself, just as a note, didn't start in the Roman times itself. It started around 1851 and has been making wine ever since. But let's get to it. Enough talk. What we have here, as you can see, it's a beautiful, I'd say medium minus intense straw color. It's very pretty with nice little gold glinty highlights. And aromatically, I can already smell it from here. It's definitely pronounced in intensity, and you get lots of fantastic apricot jam, honey, beeswax as well. Not just honey, but like a nice fresh wildflower honey. Also slightly floral tones as well. You get sort of a jasmine. In addition to that, there's a bit more depth to it as well. There's a slight brininess, a slight like sea salt brine quality to it that gives it a bit more perk. But really it's about that honey, that apricot jam, and that kind of concentrated flavor, and a slightly orangey, orange juice, mandarin sort of fruitiness as well there. So for all intents and purposes, it smells fairly fruity. But remember, fruitiness doesn't mean sweetness on the palate. So let's taste it. And this is certainly an off-dry Riesling. There is a touch of residual sugar there because there is so much acidity. It is so crunchy and twangy and bright. I mean, this is like your alarm going off in the morning or right when you walk out of a movie theater and you're hit by all that sunshine and you're just, you're almost shooken by it. This is electric stuff. And that's the beauty of proper, high-quality German Riesling. But with all that acidity, there's still a nice bit of body there. There's a nice bit of weight. It's medium bodied, nice viscous texture to it. It's got a roundness as well. That's very pleasant, yet still very refreshing. And the flavors ring true as well to the nose. Lots of that apricot, but I'm not getting the jammy notes anymore, and I'm not getting as much honey. There's apricot, there's beeswax, but there is now clearly more sort of a Granny Smith apple cut to it, as well as lime zest and lemon juice. Lots of that tartness and twanginess comes through on the palate, where it didn't come through on the nose in the same way, which is kind of the joys of Riesling. It can kind of often be a bit diametrically opposed. And the minerality is there, that sea salty brininess. I mean, I can pretend like I'm tasting slate, but I don't lick slate all the time, so who knows. But it definitely has a minerality, a wet stone kind of quality to it, and a saltiness. And the length is forever. I mean, I'm still tasting it. I'm still tasting it. I'm still tasting it. And yeah, it's just there. I think I'm probably going to be tasting it when I go to sleep tonight. So obviously this is outstanding quality Riesling. Lots of great crunchy acidity, mouth-watering. You know, you could drink it alone, but honestly I think finding some nice young cheese to go with it, something not too stinky, just something fresh, maybe a young brie would be very pleasant with it. Or, you know, I'd say lighter sausages would be pretty fun, like a turkey sausage that's not too spiced. And anything, honestly, that you'd honey drizzle or maybe give a little bit of a, like lemon vinaigrette to, this would be pretty happy with. You know, you could just take a cracker, nice little wedge of Chev goat cheese, and just drizzle a little honey on that and call yourself done, because that's what I'd be happy with. So, outstanding Riesling from BISCHO FLICHE. Their Schwarzhofberger vineyard is pretty spectacular. This vintage in particular was 2016. And honestly, you could put this away for 10, 20 years. And it's just going to get cooler and more complex and develop way more kind of cool honey notes, caramel notes, toffee notes, and the fruit's going to go kind of wild ways. Who knows? Because there's so much acidity to preserve it. Whenever you're aging wine, always think about the acid. Because if there's enough acid there, the wine probably will hold out for a bit longer, as long as there's some fruit underpinning it, which this has in spades. So if you can find it, probably in the mid-20s price-wise, but fantastic and certainly worth it, and a killer value compared to what else you could get at that price point for like 25 bucks. So yeah, BISCHO FLICHE Schwarzhofberger Riesling Kabinett 2016. Try it. It's delicious. And just drink more Riesling.